Hi everybody, my name is Emily. I've got a 45-minute restorative flow for you today. If you're newer to this type of yoga, it is definitely pajama friendly, very slow. You will not break a sweat. In fact, on the contrary, your body might actually cool down because it's such a physically still practice. So it would be a good idea to have an extra layer handy, maybe some socks, a little jacket, and a blanket for Shavasana is always nice. Restorative yoga with props involves a little bit of setup, but it is really well worth it because with all these blocks and pillows, just helps the body to really feel supported so that you can just release and release and release into the hold of all the props. So I realize that we don't all have these things at home, so that's perfectly fine. You can absolutely engage in a little bit of found yoga prop location. So I have a bolster, but 2 pillows inside of a pillowcase will work perfectly. You just want to have something that's a little bit more sturdy than your typical pillow. So 2 pillows inside a pillowcase can work as a bolster. I'm also going to be cueing some postures with 2 other pillows. This size is fine. Regular size pillows is also fine. If you find that the regular size pillows are too flat, you can easily just fold them in half and then stick them in the pillowcase so you end up with this size. And I also have 2 towels, and they're folded in a sort of like a burrito type way. It would be good to have that folded in advance just so it's ready to go. I also have 2 blocks, but again, a large book will work fine, or honestly, even a pillow. These blocks are going to be used just to hold you, so a pillow will work just as fine. So to review, a bolster and 2 pillows, 2 towels, and an additional pillow or maybe the blocks. I know it's a little bit of setup, but I promise you it's really well worth it. I'm also going to be timing these postures. Restorative yoga is a little bit different, or maybe a lot different than typical vinyasa, in that the postures are held, for a longer period of time. In this class, I'm going to cue them for between 3 to 5 minutes, and so I'll be sure to move us on at the appropriate moment. Alrighty. So, you've got your props. I've got the clock. Let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to suggest that we start in a supported child's pose. So go ahead and grab your bolster, improvised or otherwise, and take it long ways in front of you. And also take your towel and lift your hips, come on up, and then place the towel underneath your knees. So here, right at the fold of the legs. And then you choose. You could take your knees wide, all the way out to the wide edges of the mat, or keep them hips width, straight ahead of you. So you choose. Neither one is better than the other. Just one will open up your inner thighs a bit, and the other does a little bit more for the lower back. So you choose. And then from here, take the bolster so that it's touching your knees. And then really slowly start to just let your torso release over this bolster so that your forearms, the backs of your forearms, are making contact with the bolster. So the armpits are about halfway down the bolster. From here, you might be okay with just letting your head hang, but if that doesn't feel great, this is a place where you'd reach for a block or maybe your extra pillow if you have it. And before you settle in, you want to make sure that this is comfortable, that you can just hang out here for 3 minutes. So wiggle around, maybe widen the knees, maybe bring them closer together, whatever is going to just help make this feel more comfortable to you. And then just start to settle in and arrive to your practice. Mindfully transitioning into this part of your day. Maybe even from the very start of your practice, Taking a very long, deep inhale through the nose, and a long exhale out the mouth. Again, just like that, really fill up. And take an equally long exhale out the mouth. One more breath cycle here in this supported child's pose. And then give yourself some time here in stillness to notice if there's a particular intention that you'd like to practice with in mind today. And it might be that there's not really anything in particular that's coming to mind. And so if it resonates for you, I'm going to offer this idea of balance that's referenced in the Yoga Sutras, using this practice today as a way to balance maybe an excess of energy in your thoughts. And so as you rest here in this child's pose, you might notice the parts of your body that are very supported here. So feeling for the ground underneath your palms. And feeling for the support of the bolster underneath your forearms. And really in restorative yoga, practicing giving over more and more, releasing more and more into what is holding you up here. And stay here for 2 more breath cycles. And when you come to the end of that second exhale, really gently press into your palms so that you just lift the head and chest. And then very slowly, just like cutting the speed in half, start to walk your palms back towards you so that you come to a seat and give yourself a moment of transition, just feeling what, if anything, that posture did to shift anything in the mind or the body. So from here, we'll come into a counter pose to open up the heart, a supported Supta Baddha Konasana. To come into this posture, take your bolster behind you, laying it right at the base of your spine, so right where your sit bones are. And take your towel, again, it should be folded like a burrito, and then wrap it around your feet, so right around the tops of your feet, and take the soles of your feet together. So you've got the bolster wrapped around the soles of your feet together to support them. From here, reach for your pillows and place them underneath the knees, even maybe wedging them in towards the hip bone so that the inner thighs can just release here. And then take your blocks or maybe your extra pillow if you have it, and you're going to create a little bit of a ramp for the bolster. You don't even have to do the ramp if you don't have the blocks. That's absolutely fine. And so you'll want to set it up with sort of like a T, so one block tall and the other one on the medium height. And then from here, take the bolster on top of the blocks, and you want to make sure that it's has some structural integrity. You don't want it to be wobbly. So maybe play around with the positioning of the blocks until it seems like it's going to be able to support your weight. And again, you can ditch the blocks if you don't have them, or you can pile up some pillows underneath the bolster. Then from here, start to slowly lower yourself onto your bolster. I feel like mine's a little wobbly. Give it a little check. It looks good. So I just need to trust in the support of the bolster. And then take your time. And then let your arms release out to the sides. Find this subtle opening in the shoulder. And just start to drop into this posture. Really giving yourself permission to do less here. Getting yourself into a headspace of receiving and recharging here. Closing the eyes if that feels okay. And choosing where to rest your attention. It might be on this idea of balancing out an excess of energy in your thoughts right now, or whatever intention that you may have set at the beginning of practice. So calling that to mind when your attention inevitably wanders. And just feeling this simple rhythm of the chest rising and falling here. And perhaps using that power of the exhale to simply release a little bit more in the shoulders and the muscles in the forehead with each exhale. Just being at peace with quiet, being at peace with stillness. In any of these postures, you are always welcome to stay longer if you are really enjoying. If you do feel ready to move on, take the palms of your hands to the ground, feel into the ground, and then really slowly take your time, really gently pushing yourself back up to a seat. And again, giving your body this moment of transition here, just noticing what's maybe shifted. From here, we'll set up for a supported spinal twist. You're welcome to keep the ramp, or if you would rather have the bolster closer to the ground, feel free. You can take the pillows and the towel to the side. And then start by dropping your knees over to the left. And set up the bolster so it's right at your hip bone. And then turn your heart and your chest to face the bolster. And really slowly just let your chest rest. Left cheek can come to one side here. Arms can reach out long. And again, wanting every posture here to feel beautifully supported. So give yourself full permission to wiggle around until you can settle. And then once you physically settle, start to mentally settle. So as if all these thoughts were kind of like just glitter in a jar, just slowing down the pace of your thoughts. And just imagining all of them land on the bottom of that jar. Even doing a little scan here of just noticing where in the body there might be some tension, maybe in the jaw. And then releasing that tension with each exhale. Even in the shoulders. Relaxing them with each exhale, letting them just drape over the bolster here. Two more breath cycles. Once you come to the bottom of that next exhale, know that you're welcome to stay longer. But if you do feel ready, very slowly take the palms of the hands underneath the shoulders. And then taking your time, push into the palms so you come up to a seat. And again, always moving slower than you think you need to go. We'll start to take this over to the other side. So from here, dropping your knees this time to whatever side you didn't do. Setting up the bolster so that it is in line with your hip. And then turning your heart and chest to face the bolster. Lowering yourself down palm by palm. Opposite cheek comes to rest on the mat. Just give yourself this time to release. That could be a physical release of tension. It can also be a mental release and a bringing out here. Just returning to that more balanced state that yoga lets us explore. Wherein our thoughts are steady, breath is steady. 2 more breath cycles here. Always welcome to stay longer. If you do feel ready, take your palms underneath your shoulders. Slowly, gently ease yourself back up. Bringing yourself back around to face the front of your mat. So we'll take a posture now to just reset the spine after that beautiful twisting. The bolster will stay just as it is. Reach for your blocks, and again, if you don't have blocks, pillows will work just fine. Looking for them to be placed underneath the knees. From here, take your towel that's still folded up. Take them underneath the blocks. What you're looking for is to get some height to lift your knees up, take some pressure off the low back. So again, it doesn't have to be blocks, could be pillows. And then from here, take your other towel. And again, it's rolled pretty tightly like a burrito. And take it underneath your neck. And then from here, bolster is right at the base of the spine. And start to ease yourself on back. And if you don't like the towel under the neck, you can just take it to the side. And then let your arms come out to rest by your sides. Just letting the spine reset here. Feeling into any length that maybe you created from that twist. Might feel nice on the low back to let the heels knock in towards each other and the toes just release out to the side. And again, we'll be here for a few breaths, so if it doesn't feel comfortable, give yourself permission to shift around the bolster, maybe ditch the neck towel or the blocks if they don't feel great. Trusting that whatever you're feeling is a more helpful cue than what I might be saying. Wanting this to feel good, cozy, comfortable, supportive. And then put yourself in a space to receive here. Receiving the gift of rest, of recharging. And if there's any guilt creeping into your experience, you can acknowledge that, but then also give yourself permission to rest and permission to be still. A wonderful gift to give yourself. Closing the eyes if that feels okay. Two more breaths here. Know that you can stay longer even after you've come to the end of that exhale of the second breath. But if you do feel ready to move on, start to bend the elbows, press into the palms and the forearms, and slowly, slowly, slowly bring yourself up to a seat. And again, giving your body a moment of transition, Giving yourself permission to take your time to notice, to receive. And then we'll set up for a it's sort of like a supported knees, chest, chin. Wonderful release for the low back. So as we set this up, take your bolster long ways so that if you were to lie onto it, that it would be in about this region, so right by the pelvis and the hips. And then, with one of your towels, take it underneath the tops of the feet. So, you can put it down behind you and then set it down so that it's underneath the tops of your feet where a shoelace would be. Just so that you can really feel like every part of you is just propped up here. So you've got the towel underneath the shoelace side of your feet. And then this will take a little bit of negotiating. You probably won't get it right the first time, but you'll want to lay yourself down over the bolster so that, again, it's coming underneath your pelvis. So I overshot it a little bit. And then let the shoulders and your right cheek come to rest on a pillow that you can make with your hands. So stack one hand on top of the other and then let the right cheek rest. And if this is feeling icky on the low back, shift around with the positioning of the bolster underneath your hips and your pelvis until it just feels like a beautiful release for the low back. Maybe closing the eyes here if that feels okay. And it might even feel better to have your forehead come to rest on your stacked palms, so maybe try that out. And from here, take your left cheek now, or whatever cheek you weren't laying on, just to keep the neck symmetrically stretched here. Two more breaths. And at the end of your next exhale, if you'd like to stay longer, please enjoy. Otherwise, take the palms of your hands underneath your shoulders, push into the palms of your hands as you take your hips back for a child's pose, letting your arms rest on the bolster, letting your head rest on the bolster. Just nice release for the neck here. Maybe circle up the wrists if that would feel nice. Welcome to stay in child's as long as feels good. Otherwise, we will set up for a supported pigeon. So, take your bolster out in front of you, long ways, and then remove the towel from your ankle. You'll probably want both of your towels, maybe even some of your pillows for this. It depends on the openness of your hips. So go ahead and grab your towels, grab your pillows, have those ready. And then from here, push into the palms, and then take the right knee so that it is off. It's not going to be by the right wrist. It's going to be by the corner of the right bottom corner of the bolster. So right knee by the right bottom corner of the bolster. and right ankle is going to be somewhere working towards that left corner of the bolster, but unlikely that it will touch. Keep your right foot flexed. If you notice there's already tweaking in your back knee, tuck your back toes. And then from here, I can feel my hips are pretty tight, so I'm going to reach for my pillows. And I'm going to lift up my left hip and stick a pillow right in there to support myself. And I'm going to lift up my thigh and stick a pillow there to support myself. And then I've got the bolster in front of me to be able to just release down. Right cheek can come to the bolster. And if that feels like too much on the hips, this is a great place to reach for blocks or maybe some pillows. And just bring the bolster a little bit closer to you, which eases the stretch on the hip because it brings you up higher so you're not kind of smashing that right knee. That feels better for me. And then again, tapping into that exhale to just release muscles in the forehead, in the jaw, letting the shoulders drape. And if it's too much in the right hip, you can start to bring the right foot more toward the middle of your pelvis as opposed to off towards the bottom left corner of the bolster. Just, taking it a little bit more gently, subtler. Still keeping the right foot flexed to protect the knee. Two more breaths here. Unless you'd like to stay longer, take your palms underneath your shoulders, gently push yourself up to a seat. And then go ahead and remove the pillows. Swing your left foot around. Let your right toes come to the inside of your left leg. Take your right palm behind you, and then on a breath in, push into the top of the left foot and the right shin and lift the left arm. Just opening up after that work in pigeon. And then from here, start to just roll over onto your knees. And this time, take the left knee toward the left corner of the bolster. And again, I know that this hip is really, I have to be really gentle with it. So I know that my left foot is going to be really close in towards the middle of my pelvis. And then from here, reach for your pillows. Again, taking them underneath the top of your right thigh. Making a little padding for that back right leg. And then maybe wiggle yourself up. Keeping the right toes flexed if the right knee is bothering you. And then from here, whichever cheek that you have not been resting on is the one to rest on. And if your hips are really open, welcome to ditch the ramp with the bolster that you've created. When your attention inevitably wanders, just invite yourself back to any sensation that's present here in this posture. 2 more breaths here. At the end of your next exhale, again, taking palms underneath shoulders, gently push yourself up and give yourself a moment of transition here. And then let yourself sit right onto your left hip. Take the pillows to the side if you were using them. And then swing your right leg around. Let your left toes come to the inside of your right foot. And then from here, this time reach the left hand back. And again, pressing into the sole of the right foot and the left shin. On a breath in, just lift the hips up. It's a nice little release for the hips. And then on an exhale, go ahead and set them back down. From here, we'll come onto our backs. You'll want your bolster with you. So, lowering yourself onto your back. Again, taking the bolster with you, set it right underneath your bum here. And then we'll come into an inversion here. So on a breath in, lift your hips and then settle your hips down on the bolster, the same place you would locate a block. So wanting it to be underneath your sacrum. Wanting this to feel like your legs are being just floated, totally supported up to the sky. And you might enjoy hands on the belly, maybe hands out wide, palms facing up, perhaps wiggling out the toes, circling out the ankles. And then once you have given yourself some time to move, if you felt like you needed that, start to arrive in this posture in a still way. Eyes can be open, eyes can be closed, whatever feels more comfortable. You can stay in this inversion as long as you'd like. If you feel ready, start to bend the knees into the chest. And then on an exhale, release the soles of the feet down, hips width distance. So you find yourself in a supported bridge. And if this doesn't feel great on the low back, just press subtly a little bit more into the soles of the feet. Arms can stay out by your side. Arms can also reach long toward the back of your mat. You can stay here in this restorative bridge as long as you need. If you do feel ready, push into the tops of the feet so that you can lift the hips and take the bolster to the side. From here, for our Shavasana, I think Amanda calls this Stonehenge. Take the blocks, and again, if you don't have blocks, some pillows stacked up on either side will work just as well. And then take the bolster on top of the blocks, or again, some pillows stacked up. And I'm going to reach for a towel. If you have an extra layer, this is a great time to grab it. And then let your calves rest on the blocks so that where your knees bend, that's where the corner of the bolster is. And wanting this to feel steady, so check out the structural integrity of your Stonehenge before you lower yourself down onto your back. Again, wanting the crook of the knee to be in alignment with the corner of the bolster. And then grabbing any extra layers. Maybe a towel to cover your eyes would be nice. Hands can be on the belly, can feel really supportive. Hands can also be by your sides, palm up. This might be a lovely place to land for your Shavasana. Otherwise, you're welcome to take your final rest in any other way that might feel good. Once you have set yourself up in a way that feels physically comfortable, give your mind, give your body a moment to transition into this posture. Just to receive all the benefits of your practice here. Take a deep breath in, and a long exhale. And give yourself permission to maybe finish your practice right here. On the other hand, if you do feel like you'd like to move, start to just rock the head side to side, just massaging out the back of the skull. Once you've had enough of that, bring the head back to center and maybe start to just circle out the ankles here, wiggling the toes. And then hug the knees back into your chest and give yourself, again, this time to transition, taking everything bit by bit, pose by pose. And then drop the knees over to whatever side feels comfortable. Letting yourself just curl up here. Nice ceiling in your practice here. And taking a minute to reflect on any intention you may have set. Maybe this idea of balancing out this excess of energy in the mind with a really easeful, slow practice resonated for you. One more breath cycle here. And an exhale, taking the palms, grounding them down onto the mat, pushing yourself up to a seat. And again on your side, giving yourself time here, time in the transition. Another breath in. Bring yourself to cross-legged. Eyes can stay closed, eyes can open. Hands resting on the knees, just feeling into that gentle weight. And then slight tuck to the chin. As you take a moment to find some appreciation for yourself, for making time for you. And also taking a moment to acknowledge and appreciate one another. Namaste. So nice to be here with you. I hope to see you in person soon.